You're listening to the weekly Parsha podcast with Ari Goldwag, recorded with Hashem's never-ending assistance in Ramah B'Shemesh Israel, 5778, 2017. This week, we have Parsha's Breishis coming up. It's going to be on Shabbos. But for those of you who are in Chutz La'aretz, outside of Israel, so you will be still keeping Yontif on Friday. So I decided to put out the podcast today. And I want to share with you actually some thoughts about Vzos Habracha, which is the last Parsha that we read of the Torah, and we're going to read that on Shmini Atzeres and Simchas Torah. For those in Eretz Yisrael, we're going to read that tomorrow. For those outside of Israel, we're going to read that on Friday. And we're going to start Breishis. We're going to start the Torah anew from the very beginning. And we're going to begin that. And then on Shabbos, we're going to read all of Parshas Breishis. And the thought that I wanted, or the concept I want to speak about today has to do with why. Why is it that on Shmini Atzeres, the 8th day of Sukkot, the final day of Sukkot, that's the day, first of all, that we complete the Torah. We read the Parsha of Vzos Habracha, and we start again the Torah, we begin it from the beginning. Why is it that we do this? It's also very interesting. Vzos Habracha, which is the completion of the Torah, is the only Parsha that we read in its completion, in its entirety, not on Shabbos. It's the only one. What is the reason for that? Of all of the Parshas of the Torah, why is there one indeed that we only read on? We read on a day which is not Shabbos. And what is the idea of Vzos Habracha? We finish the Torah, complete the Torah on a day which is not Shabbos, but rather is Shmini Atzeres. What is the concept of Shmini Atzeres? What is the idea of this day? So we have I actually made a whole list here of questions that I'd like to address. I don't know if we'll get to all of the questions and all of the answers, but that's like the basic thrust of what I want to speak about. I want to understand what is the concept of Shmini Atzeres. We did speak Shavuos time about the point which we need to understand here as well, which is what is Atzeres? What is the difference between Atzeres? The word Atzeres, we speak about Simchas Torah. It's the 8th day of Sukkot. It's a day when we stop. Shmini Atzeres. 8th day, stop. That's how we speak about it. That's how we refer to it. It's its own chag. It is connected to Sukkot. It's the 8th day. We no longer sit in the sukkah. We no longer take the arba minim, the 4 species, the lulav and the esrog. 8th day, everything stops. We dance with the Torah. Very similar to Shavuos, which is the 8th week, right? Following 7 times 7, 49 days. The 50th day is Shavuos. So we have this parallel between Shavuos, when we receive the Torah, which is also called Atzeres. It's also referred to as a time of stopping. So I want to understand what is the difference between Atzeres, which means to stop, and Shabbos. The word Shabbos, which we do every 7 days, also means to stop. It also means to stop doing any malacha. On Shmini Atzeres, we don't do any malacha as well. On Shavuos, which is Atzeres, we don't do malacha either. But what is the difference between Shabbos, which is a stopping, and Atzeres, which is a stopping? And to get you the cogs in your mind rolling, just think about the fact that we count 7 times 7, right? Shabbos is every 7th day. We count 7 times 7, 7 groups of 7, in order to get to the 50th day, which is Shavuos. That's on Shavuos, which is Atzeres, so it's the 50th day. And here, on Shmini Atzeres, we have counted one group of 7. We've gone through the 7 days of Sukkot, and now we come to Atzeres. We come to a stopping, which is the 8th day. And the number 50 and the number 8 are clearly connected, are related, because the 50 is the number that comes after 7 sets of 7, and 8 is the number that comes after 1 set of 7. And they both represent the same idea, which is this idea of Atzeres, of stopping. So what is the idea of stopping? And why do we complete the Torah on this day? What is the connection between Torah and Atzeres? Why is the Torah, we receive the Torah on Atzeres of Shavuos, we dance with the Torah on Shmini Atzeres. What is the idea? How does the Torah connect to the concept of Atzeres? Why do we complete the Torah then? What is the idea of completion in relationship to Atzeres? And why do we start the Torah anew? Is there a concept of stopping when we are starting? What could that possibly mean? Okay, so these are among the numerous questions that I'd like to understand. Let's see if there's any questions that I may have missed on my list. Oh yes, there are other questions here. What is the concept of the brachos? We find Vzos Habracha, the Torah ends with the blessings of Moshe Rabbeinu. Moses is about to move on to the next world. He's about to move on to a higher place. And as he does so, just like Yaakov Avinu did, just like Jacob did, so he gives blessings to the Jewish people. He defines for them what is a blessing in this context. He defines for them exactly what their purpose is, what their role is in the world. Each of the tribes finds out what is their role, what is their unique capacity, what is their unique ability that they can accomplish. Moshe Rabbeinu gives the blessings. How are those blessings related to the idea of Atzeres, the stopping, the movement, the going? Are we going? Are we stopping? We're continuing? We're starting over? What's going on here? How does it relate to the brachos? Another interesting question, another interesting idea, which I'd like to address, is that we find that I want to talk about two different names of Hashem. We speak about the names of God. We speak about, usually we relate to Hashem with the name Aleph, Dalid, and then Nun, Yud. That's how we, even when we look in the Siddur and we see Yud, Kei, Vav, Kei, we still read it as Aleph, then Dalid, then Nun, then Yud, which means God is our master. God is the one that we follow. We are His servants. Now, in Breishis, in Chumash Breishis, and in Sefer Breishis, we find a specific name which Hashem uses. One of them, there's actually two names and they're interrelated that God uses. In the entire story of creation, God uses the name Elokim. Breishis bara Elokim es hashamayim v'sa'aretz. In the beginning, Elokim created the heavens and the earth. And each time there's an Amira, each time God speaks, He uses the name Elokim. What is the name Elokim? Also related is the name which Hashem uses when He relates to the Avos. When He relates to the patriarchs, it's the name Shakai, Shin Daled Yud. And that name, both that name Shakai as well as the name Elokim are interrelated. And they both refer to the fact that Hashem is delineating. Elokim is delineation. God is taking infinite light, and God is defining the world and saying, these are the Gedarim, these are the boundaries, this is how the world is going to look, this is the shape, these are the rules by which the world is going to exist. All right, so that's Breishis Bar Elokim. Now what's interesting is there's another name of Hashem which we don't seem to find in Sefer Breishis. The name of Hashem, which Hashem uses when He wants to redeem the Jewish people, when He wants to bring Geula to the Jewish people. And that's the name Ekia Asher Ekia. When Moshe Rabbeinu, when Moses speaks to Hashem at the burning bush, so he says to Hashem, what is your name? What shall I tell the Jewish people? How are you relating to the Jewish people, right? Because a name always has to do with our relationship, right? My name is Ari, and you know me as Ari Goldwag. And my children do not call me Ari, they call me Abba. They call me father. My depending on the relationship that we have with someone, that will affect how we call them. That's how we're going to interact with them. Now, Hashem's name is how we perceive Him. When we speak about God manifesting a certain name, we're speaking about the fact that Hashem is interacting with us in a certain way. Now, the name that Hashem tells Moshe Rabbeinu that He's about to interact with the Jewish people when it comes to Geula, when it comes to redemption, is the name Ekia Asher Ekia. I will be that I will be. Now that name is unique. It is related in Kabbalistic literature to the concept of Keser. Now, I'm not going to explain too much here. It's not important to know too much, but Keser is the crown. Keser is above the head, right? It's the place of the tefillin. It's over here, okay? In the series of Chachma, Bina, you have the right side, you have the left side. It's the intellect, but Keser is beyond intellect. Keser is the crown. It's above the head. It's beyond what we understand. It's beyond the physical plane. It's the spiritual realm. It's the place where the spiritual interfaces with the physical. That's the concept of Keser. And so when Hashem is about to manifest Geula, about to bring redemption into the world, He manifests with the name Ekia, the name which represents the transcendent, the spiritual realms interfacing with the physical realms. Now what's interesting, and here's where we get to Breishis, is that do we find this name anywhere in Sefer Breishis? The answer is no. It's not found in Sefer Breishis. But what we do find is that the name is hinted to. Where do we see that the name is hinted to? So there's Gemara in Rosh Hashanah that tells us that Basara, we know it's a famous statement of our Chazal, I believe it's also in Pirkei Avos, Basara Mamoris Nivra Olam, the world was created with 10 statements. It says, Vayomer Elokim, Yehi Or, God said, let there be light, Vayomer Elokim. It says 10 times that God said. However, if you read through Genesis, the first chapter, so you will see that there's only 9 times that it says that God said. And so it says at the 10th time, but it's not referring to creation. So the question becomes, and the Gemara asks this question, where's the 10th statement? Where's the 10th statement, Vayomer Elokim? And the Gemara gives us a mystery that we need to solve. Gives us a statement that the first line of the Torah, the first pasuk, the first verse is Breishis bara Elokim es hashamayim ves haaretz. It says, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. That is the first statement. Vayomer, it doesn't say Vayomer, it doesn't say God said, but that is the first time that God said, quote unquote, that He brought the heavens and the earth into reality, into existence. So it's a hidden statement. It's a hidden statement. Where is that statement? It doesn't say that God said it. You know why? Because it was, well, as Chazal say in other places, Allah b'machshavtoi. It came up in God's thoughts. You know where God's thought is? You know where your thought is? You think that your thought is in your head. Why do you think that? Because your eyes are placed in your head. And therefore you look and you see, you experience the world from your eyes. So you think that you are in your head. But I have a secret to tell you. You do not exist in your head. You actually, part of you exists in your head, but you are a neshama, you are a soul. And your soul exists not just in your head, but it actually sticks out of your head. Only the lowest aspect of your soul is in your head, is in your brain. The lowest aspect of your soul, which is called the malchus, the lowest aspect of your soul, this is spoken about in the Sefer Nefesh HaChaim, it rests in your head. But the neshama, the soul, extends out of your head and up into a higher spiritual realm. 9/10 of your soul actually is not in your body. 9/10 of it extends out to a higher realm, to a transcendent realm, which is beyond. So we can speak about the fact that God's thought is beyond thought. Certainly, God's thought is. Even our thought is actually beyond our brain. Our thought exists and we exist. We perceive from a different place. We perceive, we think of ourselves as being here, but we're actually not here. We are semi here, partially here, but really we exist in a higher place. And actually we go there when we go to sleep. We hang out in the higher realms. That's a story and a discussion for a different time. Go check out the discussion that I went through in Derech Hashem, the daily Kabbalah lesson. But anyway, so Allah b'machshavta, God thinks, the first thought of creation, Keser, Breishis bar Elokim, the first thing which is not said, it doesn't come out in speech, it's only thought. It's Keser, it's beyond mind. Breishis bar Elokim es hashamayim ves haaretz, it's in the same place. It's the will of Hashem to create, the thought of Hashem to create. And that is not a statement. That is not Vayomer. That's Ekyeh Asher Ekyeh. That's that same name. The name which is Keser, which represents beyond thought, which is also used by Geula when God redeems the world. That is the name that Hashem uses. The first aspect that Hashem interacts with the world when He creates the world without even speaking, just with thought. Okay? Now, I know I'm giving you a lot of information, a lot of different ideas, and really I have written here tons more, which I'm not going to get to. But I want to understand, what is the idea here? What is the idea, and how does this relate to Shmini Atzeres? How does it relate to the fact that we complete the Torah, we start the Torah? How does it relate to the fact that Hashem uses the name of Keser, the transcendent name, when He creates the world initially, at the very beginning, and also in the time of redemption, which is a completion of the world, which is a coming to completion. The Gula of Mitzrayim was not the complete completion, but it was a certain aspect of completion. We will experience that same name, Ekyeh Asher Ekyeh, will be used again in the future when Mashiach comes, when the Messiah arrives. That same name will come into play. The Geula, whenever God redeems the world, brings the world to a place of completion, God uses the word ekya, asher ekya. There's a return. A return. Hear this well. There's a return to the beginning. We return to that same name that Hashem used when he first thought, without even speaking about it, about creating the world. That same name, that same aspect, Ekya Asher Ekya, I will be that I will be. That is what's used when Hashem redeems the world, brings the world back to the state of creation, returning to that place. So what is the idea here? And this is related very much to something which it says in Sefer Yetzirah. It's a Mishnah, actually a Mishnah in Sefer Yetzirah. It's in the first chapter, the 7th Mishnah. It says, in speaking about the Sfiros, speaking about the first sphere, which is Keser, the last sphere, which is Malchus, which again, don't worry, we don't need to know right now what that means, but just understand that the first aspect, the very first thought of God, as it were, the very first time that anything is coming into a manifest reality, that aspect, that Keser, that first thought, it's manifest in the end. Not Roshei b'Soifai, v'Soifai b'Roshei. The beginning is embedded in the end. The end is embedded in the beginning. What does that mean? I'll tell you in a very simple way. We also mention this concept on Shabbos. We say, Sof Maseh v'Machshava Tchila. The end of the work is in the first thought. Now, Shabbos is, in a certain sense, the end of the week, right? It's the end of the week. But I'll tell you a secret. Shabbos, we've been thinking about Shabbos all week long. Yom Rishon l'Shabbos, the first day. On Sunday, we say today's the first day leading towards Shabbos. Yom Sheni b'Shabbos, today's the second day leading towards Shabbos. The word Shabbos also means a week. It's the first day of the week, the second day of the week. But every day of the week is really getting us to Shabbos. Shabbos is the completion of the week. What does that mean? Shabbos, what do? We don't do anything. We sit back, we relax, we enjoy all that we've worked on throughout the week. That's what Shabbos is. Shabbos is after we've gone through the 6 days of our work week, after we've gone through the 6 days of our toiling, whether it's toiling for parnasa, for livelihood, or toiling in Torah in order to understand God's will for us. We've gone through all of that, and on Shabbos we sit back and we relax, we shavas, and we enjoy all that we've done. Mishatarach be'erev Shabbos, Yechel Shabbos. Whoever works on Erev Shabbos, and means really throughout the entire 6 days of the week, he can enjoy on Shabbos. On Shabbos you can't work anymore. On Shabbos you can't prepare anything anymore. Shabbos is the end of the week. You enjoy all that you have toiled for. You enjoy all that you've worked for. So that's what Shabbos is about. Shabbos is about receiving, reflecting, enjoying all the work that one has done throughout the week. All the movement. We've gone in all the different directions, right? Like we moved the lulav, 6 directions, 4 directions, this way, back, forward, up and down, that's 6. And the center, it's the 7th place where there's no movement. And then we say Hashem's name, there's no movement. We bring it to the center. Here's where we are. And in time as well, there's so much movement. There's the 6 days of the week, but the 7th day is non-movement. It's shavas. It's quietude. It's silence. And that, by the way, is when we read the Torah. Why do we read the Torah on Shabbos? Why do we read the Parsha on Shabbos? Because the Torah is that which shows us how to relate to God. I'll tell you a secret. We think of the mitzvahs, the commandments, as movement. Here we got to do this mitzvah. We got to shake the lulav. We got to put on the tefillin. We have to wear the tzitzis. We have to sit in the sukkah. Movement. Give tzedakah, la, etc., etc. But I'll tell you a secret. The mitzvahs and the Torah are non-movement. The Yetzirah wants to pull us this way. The evil inclination wants to tell us, do this action, do this. All of the mitzvahs of the Torah, and this requires Torah, I'm not going to explain this at length, but all of the mitzvahs of the Torah are to help us stop moving, to get centered, to get us focused, to take us out of that jittery movement. No, here's what you got to do. There's so many things that I could do, but this is what I have to do. This is what is going to keep me, or bring me back, I would say even better. This is what it's going to keep me and return me back to the place where I need to be, which is godliness, which is spirituality, which is the place of my soul. My soul doesn't move, right? If you think about it, when you're moving, your body is moving, right? Your head doesn't move. Your head stays stationary. Your hands move, your legs move, even your body moves a bit, but your head stays in the same place. It stays stationary. That's where the soul is. The soul is in the head. That's the concept of Shabbos. The Shabbos is non-movement. That's the concept of Torah. Torah is non-movement. It's bringing us into a center place, a place of spirituality, to godliness. Think about God. God doesn't move. God doesn't change. God is eternal. God is beyond time. God is beyond space. God is non-movement. The more that we resemble God, the more we are not moving. The more we are not thinking so much, not speaking so much, not talking so much, not moving so much, not doing so much. Shabbos is a day when we get to hang out with God, to be more like God in the most profound way. That's Shabbos. Now, here's where we get to the point. And when we get to the point, we're going to stop, because that's what it's all about. It's about stopping. Shmini Atzeres. Think about Atzeres of Shavuos, and also think about Atzeres after 7 sets of 7-year cycles. We have Yovel, which is also a stopping of movement. No more working, no more slaves, no more working the land, no more anything. Just sit back, relax, enjoy. After 7 sets of 6 years of working, 7 years stop. 6 years of working, 7 years stop. Stop. The final movement, it's the end of the movement. Right? So, what is the final idea here? The idea here is Shmini Atzeres is a deeper kind of stopping. It's a deeper kind of recognition that we've reached the end point. We've reached that place. Moshe Rabbeinu is about to pass on from the world. He's about to complete his mission on earth. And that's what we're reading about. We've been talking about it already for many, many weeks, many Shabboses. And it's in that place of completion. It's specifically the completion of the Torah, which is the completion of Moshe's mission, which is the Jewish people about to enter the land of Israel and be in the place where they're supposed to be. That is read on a deeper place of stopping than Shabbos. Shabbos we stop. But Shmini Atzeres, which is Simchas Torah, is a much deeper stopping. And you say, what are you talking about? Shmini Atzeres, we're dancing. Simchas Torah, we're dancing. There's no greater movement than that. But no, we're dancing with the Torah. The dancing, the movement that we do on Shmini Atzeres is the ultimate non-movement. Think about that. It's deep. It's the recognition that the Torah is about teaching us non-movement. We're walking around the center. The center doesn't move. Right? The center doesn't move. The Torah stays in the middle. The Mizbeach, the center of our service of Hashem, remains non-moving. And that's what Shmini Atzeres is about. It's the time that we complete the Torah. But like we spoke about, the first thought, which is Breishis, is embedded in the end, right? The first Hashem thinks, I want to create the world, and I want there to be a complete world, a perfect world, which is non-movement. That's Mashiach. When Mashiach comes, when Messiah arrives, we will have reached the final point. There won't be the back and forth of movement like we have today. The world will be in a place of completion. That's what Mashiach is. That's the name Eki Asher Eki. God will be. The Jewish people will be. We are one nation. We find a place of non-movement. That's another conversation about why we go into Gullus, which is exile, which is movement. Okay, I wrote it. Can't get to it. Can't speak about it this time. We're running out of time. But the wrap up here is that Shmini Atzeres is the time of non-movement. And it's the point of completion. It's the point of beginning, which are really the same point. Hashem doesn't speak. When I speak, so my mouth is moving. There's movement. There's thoughts. There's words. Everything is motion, movement. The first thought of Hashem is not spoken. It's non-movement. That's Breishis. And Moshe Rabbeinu dying is non-movement. This is it. And brachos, amazing thing, the blessings themselves are non-movement. This is who you are. This is your essence. All you have to do is this, and when you complete this, you are. You are. You are who you're supposed to be. So, Shabbos is one type of stopping. Atzeres, Shmini Atzeres, is a deeper kind of stopping. It's coming to the final You've reached your final destination. You've reached that final place. This is where we sit down with God, and God rejoices with us. And you can go back to previous podcasts speaking about other at other times we spoke about what is the idea of Shmini Atzeres, etc., Simchas Torah. We spoke about this at length. And so the final thought that I want to leave you with is that here we are. We're at this point in this place, which is Shmini Atzeres. We're at the point of completing the Torah, not on Shabbos, but on a deeper time than Shabbos, on time of Shmini Atzeres, that eighth aspect, which is a transcendent aspect, or returning to non-movement, returning beyond the 7 days of creation, beyond that to the eighth aspect, to the 50th aspect, to Atzeres, and that's where we complete the Torah. We hear about Moshe Rabbeinu's completion. We hear about the blessings, which tell us who we are and how we move along in the world, yes, but the center, the quietude of who we are, and the completion of which brings us back to the beginning, which is Breishis, where Hashem thought, didn't speak, but thought, in that very simple non-movement of the creation of the world. So we come back to that perfection. We read about him before the sin, before there was all this movement and all this time. There was just one day. Moshe Rabbeinu, Adam HaRishon was just there. That one day could have been a time of absolute completion, but it was pushed off until a future time. Thank you so much for listening. I want to bless you. I'm asking you to bless me. Hashem should help us to recognize this idea, to find that quietude, to find that Atzeres, which is the opportunity. We should recognize that here we complete the Torah, we begin the Torah, and all of this, so that we can receive the Torah, receive that relationship, which is all about non-movement. Thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful Shabbos, wonderful Yom Tov. Be well. This podcast was made possible through the gracious donations of listeners like you. For more podcasts like this, please visit www.arigoldwag.com or search on iTunes Ari Goldwag.